This is actually the first of its kind.
This right here is completely different.
It really is the gateway to our town.
What I saw happening was that it would bring in the soil needed to create the kind of stuff that you find in San Francisco.
We do have a very creative community here, and in order to retain our creative resource, we have to have spaces like this that people can afford to live and work in.
I was definitely actively looking for a new community, but when I found out about it, I was just like, oh, this is what will keep me here.
An artist has to have a place to live, and they have to have a place to work, and then they have to have a place to show their work.
Being able to identify this is something that's so uniquely Santa Cruz.
One of the intentions of this project was to provide an artistic and cultural venue for all of the county-wide community, and it's become that.
Hello, I'm Romney Dunbar, and this is Tales from the Tannery. For the next 30 minutes, we'll learn about the Tannery Arts Center. We'll meet those who had a vision for this former industrial complex, where it is now on its journey, and what's next for this landmark project, supporting art and artists in Santa Cruz.
What do you think, Dad? Yeah, he agrees.
Jeremy Lezen has lived the history of the Tannery. Both his father and grandfather presided over the property for generations as the heads of what was once the Salts Tannery.
My grandfather had an idea that making leather was really like artwork. And then my dad got involved, and he saw something quite different. He saw a much larger tannery than the one that was existing. So we went through the conversion process. It was a big, big deal. We went from 40 employees when my grandfather came in to our height of 400 employees. The leather, I went to shoe manufacturers all over the world. I was the boss's kid, and they just wanted to work me as hard as they could, it seemed like. So I didn't have cush jobs. But the job that was the most exciting was running the Dead Cow. I started the Dead Cow, and that's a retail store here. And it was just crazy. We had no idea what we were in for. It was the hippie era, in the 60s. The first day we opened, they were lined up to get in the door. We had a big scrap bin filled with leather, and all the big pieces we'd bury in the bottom, and all the little scrap on top. And it was kind of like a sale. People would jump into that bin, they'd be fighting and making their little piles.
While the Tannery had thrived for much of the 20th century, by the early 2000s, business had slowed significantly due to increased competition from Asia. Following the 9/11 attacks, the Tannery finally had to close.
When Saul's Tannery closed, the city was really faced with a situation of an 8-acre campus that had a variety of contamination on it. So from a redevelopment standpoint, it wasn't attractive for anyone to develop that site. We really had the need, and we were seeing a lot of the artists that lived in our county and our city particularly leaving because of the high cost of housing. So it's just the timing of Saul's closing, the restrictions on the site for historic buildings, what we could do with it, and the need to provide affordable housing for artists so that we could maintain that cultural identity that Santa Cruz is known for. So all of those came together, and sort of why ultimately this is the type of campus and the type of structures that you see today.
The Tannery Arts Center might never have happened without the work of one person, longtime City of Santa Cruz Redevelopment Agency Director Cecile Cirillo.
The intention was to use redevelopment funds to acquire the property, to facilitate the cleanup, all of which we did, and to retain these historic buildings. But for redevelopment, this site would have probably burned down. And we have the largest historic preservation site in the county right now. The vision was that we could bring a building here that would house theater, all the nonprofit organizations, gallery, and classroom space, together with artist live workspace.
This whole 8-acre site was covered with buildings. I mean, every inch of it had some kind of a shed or something on it.
Tannery Arts Center Executive Director George Newell remembers those early days well.
The first day for applications, it was first come, first serve. So we had over 100 families camping out in the parking lot out here to be able to turn in their application at 8 o'clock on that Monday morning. And the community started to build that day.
There are those who felt that there should be a Home Depot or some other big box at this site. But I think there is a vindication that a Home Depot wasn't going to do as much culturally or to bring the community together on a regular basis socially as this site has done.
I love the way it looks. I like the way that it works. I visited some of the studios where people live, and I think it's so much enjoyment for the people that are here, that are part of it, as well as the community and visitors to Santa Cruz. It's just a real plus.
We had some, doubting Thomases that when this got started, they went, well, I don't know if that's ever going to happen. And the housing went up, and people said, well, maybe that part of it's going to happen. The studios went up, and we started having people come in here, and they say, okay, it looks like this really is going to happen.
It was a battle, but frankly, each time I went to the city council for the next step in this process from 2001 on through my retirement in 2008, it was always a 7-0 vote.
More than a decade after the original tannery closed its doors, Jeremy Lezen says it's a great feeling to see the property reborn as the Tannery Art Center.
I love to see things being made. I love, art and sculpture, and I think it's great, as I say, that the buildings are filled with creative people.
The residential component of the Tannery consists of 100 units of affordable housing for artists. Embor and his family are just a few of those who call the Tannery Lofts home.
Live at the Tannery!
Actually, before we opened the Tannery, what just catch me is just how the people was like at the Tannery, the people who just come to take application, all the artists, they was together, and then they was like doing a lot of stuff. You can tell this is gonna be a fun place to live. Tannery is just a place you can come learn a lot of stuff. It's a fun place for my family because everything that I need is right here.
So it's like a little community.
Yeah, little town we call the Tannery. It's good to see a place for artists. You can see painting, dancing, people doing art with the computer, a lot of stuff, photographer. Art is big. Art is something, is like water running, and then you don't know where this water is gonna end it.
The housing is never empty. Whenever a space comes available, they've got a 2-year waiting list just to get into the housing.
When we first moved here, we didn't know anyone. We came from overseas, and we were going to start a life here, and the Tannery was such a wonderful thing. This is an artist's town, and we just kind of fell in with this really synchronistic thing that happened. It's been a really good thing being here at the Tannery.
I'm not a commuter. I'm one of those angry drivers if you put me on the road for too long. So I'm glad I don't have a long commute, yeah.
I do interiors and interior painting, and I'm dabbling in interior design as well. This finally gave me a place that I could fix up and use my, my skills and
your resume.
Yeah, right. I know. And when I had open studios at first, before the studios were finished down there, I had open studios up here, and that was the first thing that everybody commented on before looking at the art. It was just like, wow, look at this place. This apartment is amazing. How do you get one of these?
Increasingly, the Tannery Arts Center is becoming a vibrant and energetic place to live, work, and visit.
I really love the idea that it's a living community. There's 100 apartments outside the door. A lot of times art spaces are an industrial wasteland. You don't want to be there like enjoying I like to work late at night, and it's like, abandoned work areas. So this is always alive, and there's always people around, and now there's a cafe, super fun energy.
One of the things we've been working on in the city is really helping with some of the related infrastructure. So the year before last, we completed the bike path that connects the Tannery to the river levee. The year before that, we did the pedestrian bridge that goes across the levee. So you can now ride your bike or walk, from the Tannery downtown along the levee. And so we're continually making improvements that really support this as, its own sort of neighborhood within the larger community.
The artists tell us, thank you for building this great place, and our response to them is, all we do is build the box. You bring the magic. And that's truly what's happened in this place. These people have come in and they've put down their roots, and a lot of them have invested everything they own in just making their studio be a viable place. And I think it's paying off for them, and I know it's paying off for the community.
After the lofts were completed, Phase 2 of the Tannery Arts Center was filling the studio and commercial spaces. Kat Willis, founder and director of the Tannery World Dance and Cultural Center, remembers when the Tannery's studio spaces were a blank slate. Now she's just one of many artists who create their work here.
In 2011, after we had discovered the space and found it, I was planning on doing a fundraiser. And so I showed up here around October and started putting in a floor, a dance floor. We built it by hand, my husband and I. And there was no one here. It was empty and quiet at that point. And so, yeah, that was the very beginning of me sort of seeing the trickling in of people. And I think it was around January that other people started. We knew that there were other people who were going to sign leases, but they weren't actually in the space. And then by February is when I signed my lease. Then all of a sudden, each room started slowly filling with people, and it started to grow.
It's called process painting, sort of, because as I'm painting, I really have nothing in mind, except for this, the figure is the only anchoring element, and so I'm creating like a landscape or some kind of environment in which that figure is in. I don't really know how it's going to come out. I don't really know the color scheme. It's just as the process happens, the painting evolves. It's this very imperfect process which somehow perfectly works itself out. So that's always a challenge for me, and it's always a challenge in life, I think, is to like let go and to just trust that it's going to work out, and you get stuck in certain places. And so the process in which I paint is a metaphor for a lot of things in life, and people can relate to that. When I was going to move here, I remember feeling like, I'm going to go there and there's going to be all these artists around me, and I'm going to have to be an artist. Like, I can't hide from it. You know, if I'm there, I'm going to have to produce. And I loved, like, you know, it's kind of like the challenge. And so absolutely being here makes me, it just encourages it more, and it makes it make more sense when you're seeing other artists doing the same thing, and there's people that are available to talk about that process and to talk about why you're not doing art and what's coming in the way, and to, you know, just to say like, go get in there and go do it, and just to get you excited about it. There's so many benefits from being around artists and having me walk outside my home and I'm at my work. If I was just in my own little studio, how many people can I really get to come and see my work? But because there's dancers coming, and the cafe is open, and there's the printmakers there, and, you know, people are coming for everything else, they're gonna maybe stumble in here and see what I'm doing.
My project is called Jewelry Toolery, and it's a jewelry workshop. I have my own workshop, and then I also have a classroom where I teach jewelry. I bring guest artists to teach, and then I have a shared workspace for jewelers to come and use my tools and make their art. I really wanted to create a fun environment where people feel like the creative stuff is the priority. It's an amazing community. There's something about jewelers, they're really fun. I think it's because we need each other. There's a lot of equipment, and there's a lot of ideas and training and techniques. So people that are jewelers tend to really enjoy hanging out and teaching each other and working together.
We moved into the live workspaces when they became available. And then at some point we came together and we took the plunge under Lisa's leadership here into to open up a school.
We learned a method, a 19th century and before method of drawing and painting and sculpture from the Florence Academy of Art. And we both studied there, and we came to the U.S. and said, okay, now what are we going to do with this education? And so we work on our own art, and we're very devoted students still, and then we teach other people how to do it, and it takes a while to learn. So that's why we created the school.
Here's what I'm going to do is this print could use going through one more time.
Well, I'm a printmaker, and I'm on the executive board of Printmakers at the Tannery, which we call PAT for short. First of all, for all of us to get all of this equipment, it's 3 printing presses, we have a shear, we have a fabulous computer, we have all these great tables. One person would have a very difficult time affording it all, so we sort of pool our money in a cooperative situation. We also like each other a lot. I mean, there's a great respect that happens in this print studio.
But most of the image that's etched, you can see the darkened.
I think it's a home away from home. It's the opportunity to make work. We're open 24/7. And it's kind of a family now, too. So we love to work together. And not just in the print studio, it's a nice camaraderie with the whole group of people at the Tannery.
One of the reasons why I chose to come to the Tannery was because I knew all of the parties involved would make it happen. This idea that you can fuse and cut across many different genres of people and arts, that's why it's so profound. There's a lot of connection points for people to make on the campus.
If I walk out that door, something good's going to happen. It's crazy. I walk out, I meet new people. I've met people from all over the world now, and it's just, oh, this person knows this person, and oh, how about I'd like to take a jewelry class. What are you teaching? You know, the dance studio, they leave dance. In fact, last night I was teaching somebody who was taking a kickbox class, kept seeing my project, and finally she's taking a class with me. So it's that traffic and meeting people I wouldn't meet, you know, if you're just off in a little corner where it's just the arts versus this is so much more.
So Angela can tell me that, oh, she's working on these pins like this. She's doing enamel pins, but she's doing little paintings on the pins. And I feel like I'm doing a little bit bigger painting type things on a plate in order to run those through the press. And someone will come over from the ceramics area and say, oh, I just figured out I could do this. And we all just absorb these ideas. So it's artists talking to artists, but not necessarily in the same field. That doesn't matter.
So basically what I'm doing for the 5th year anniversary of the Tannery is building a 30-foot high 2 cows, one sitting on the shoulder of another. This, I believe, engineering-wise, I might have to change this, but for the moment what I'm doing is building one of these trapeze bars. And it's going to say Tannery Strong on it, which is going to be great. But what I have to do because of the size of it is to build it in 3 sections. So currently what I'm working on right now is this lower section. So I'm building it so that it can hold the other 2 pieces. And it's going to live right here. And I'm making it in the world famous Hyde House.
How does it feel to see like a First Friday here at the Tannery? The whole thing's kind of popping. I mean, you got to feel pretty good about it.
Unbelievable. I feel, you know, First Friday is such a great success now. I'm stoked. I mean, because it fulfilled all the things that I wanted. We felt that the only game in town had been open studios once a year, and we love open studios, but artists need to survive year round. So now every month, all these artists have an opportunity to show their wares, and it's huge.
One of the things that I see mostly on First Fridays is that people come down here and their eyes are wide open. Their kids are running around, you know, so excited. And they are in this state of discovery. And I think that when you have that state of discovery that people are in, they want to revisit that over and over and over again. And I think all of the exceptional artists who are here and developing the Tannery are making it so that people want to make this art center not only a place for themselves, for their children, but it's a place that they're going to continue to revisit and invest in.
There was this community perception that it was artists in need rather than what artists could provide. And I think now it's becoming a public space that artists provide towards the community with the work that they offer, you know, exhibitions, and the quality of work that they have is, the bar has been raised because of the facility.
All of this activity brings us to the present day and the need to build one more major stage of the Tannery. And this is the major stage.
So we're going to go into the Hyde House, which is the future home of the theater that we're going to build. This old building is one of the last historic buildings on the property that we're going to renovate. There'll be a big lobby built on the front of this, but this building will be preserved as it is. This will be where we'll park our concession stand. Right now we're walking through the seating area, and right up about here is going to be the edge of the stage. It's perfect for a theater. There aren't any poles holding up the roof, and we're able to put the sight lines such that everywhere you're sitting in those 200 seats, you'll be able to have a good view.
When completed, the Performing Arts Center at the Tannery will be a state-of-the-art facility that can play host to a wide range of events, amateur or professional. With 200-plus seats and an additional open-air courtyard, the Performing Arts Center will complete the vision of an interactive destination draw for the community to attend and to participate in.
I think when you have a centerpiece for people to develop their work, all the work that the performance artists do, you know, someone who's a musician or a dancer, the stage is their opportunity to kind of let it go. That's what all that hard work is for.
It'll be a modern theater with state-of-the-art sound, acoustics, lighting, all of the stuff that we don't have in a lot of the community theaters. It'll be available to our community to be able to come in. High school kids will be able to perform in a real live theater instead of in the cafetorium at their school. Not just perform in a modern professional level theater, but actually see how all of that works, see how the lighting works, see how, you know, real live acoustics and sound systems really work. And so it'll be a total learning experience.
I could see TEDx kinds of seminars here. You might see business-oriented speakers here. You might see a company renting out the facility for a couple days and holding a company offsite here.
There will be lots of people who wouldn't ordinarily come to the space because they're not looking to buy art, but those who are looking to see art performed.
What originally attracted me to the project was the theater and knowing that there was a lack of a quality theater space here. But then once I understood the overall project better, where there's the ability to leverage what's going on with the artists in the housing, and with the visual artists in the studios, and with Kat's organization here, there's a lot of synergy that you wouldn't get with a standalone environment.
As soon as the theater opens, that is just going to take it to the next level. As soon as the community knows that, okay, we can go to the Tannery and we could see artists working, we could get a cup of coffee or lunch, we could have the opportunity to take a class, go see a show, I think that it is going to develop into what the vision was for this place, and I think it will spread outside of just Santa Cruz. It'll be a destination for tourists, and hopefully it'll become an international art center, but who knows.
We've got live workspaces, we've got active studios going on, we've got galleries, we've got events where people get to show their work. Soon we'll have a theater for people to show their work.
While the countdown is on to start construction in the next few months, more money is needed to reach the fundraising goal. Find out more about how you can get involved at tanneryartcenter.org/donate.
With redevelopment agency going away, individual donations is how stuff like this is going to get funded these days. So, if people do have some disposable income, looking at projects such as this, I think it's critical for the good of the community.
For the artistic community, for business reasons, for a location where the community can come together, a modern state-of-the-art facility that doesn't exist right now, as a performance center to complement the visual arts that we already have at the Tannery Art Center. It's located centrally. It's good for the community, good for downtown. It'll be a gathering spot. I think for all those reasons, it deserves the support of the community.
This place has far exceeded our expectations. In the early days, talking to Seal, and she said, "You think we're going to do this?" And I said, "Look, if all we do is build 100 units of affordable housing and add that to the housing stock in Santa Cruz, you've done a good job." And then that was all finished and everybody was beginning to like that. And I said, "Look, if all we do is save these old historic leather buildings and put some artist studios in there, then you've preserved some history and you've given some people an affordable place to do their creative work." We did that, and these are filled, you know. So now I'm very confident that we'll get phase 3 up, and very happy with the way this has gone on.
I see it only growing to a point where more and more people in the community start making the Tannery Art Center their destination on a weekly, on a daily, on a monthly basis.
For us to have low-income housing for 100 units of families, we've had kids born here, you know, it's pretty amazing. To be on the San Lorenzo River, to have it support the arts, I mean, I just think it's a phenomenal success story. That almost never happened.
Santa Cruz has a unique voice, and the best way to express that is through the arts.
The Arts Council just commissioned a study, and it revealed that the arts contribute over $38 million to the Santa Cruz community.
It's a symbol of city officials and nonprofit organizations and philanthropic members of the community to come together to get something done. And I think one of the things that Santa Cruz needs more of is the ability of government and business and nonprofit leaders to come together to move projects forward that are good for the community.
I can see all kinds of uses to this, not just painting or sculpting or, you know, printmaking, but people going beyond that to really become part of it. I think what this does is it extends the arts district in Santa Cruz. This is a place where art is created, so it's not just a gallery. I see people coming here to take classes, coming here during major public events to see how printmakers do their magic or how ceramicists throw their pots and that kind of stuff. I can see a full spectrum of interaction and information from people where you can come just as a casual observer and see, oh, so that's how it's done. Or you can come and take a class and learn how to throw your own pots.
There are numerous other cities that are calling us to see how we did it, how do we put the financing together, how do you make this work. So this is really a model for the country of this type of development. From the artists that have embraced this project to the city, you know, to the arts, you know, the Arts Council, to the Tannery Arts Center, Inc. All of these entities together have really made this project possible. I mean, it really is a project that continues to be a passion of the community.
I think you'll see it even more enlivened than you did today. To see these 7-month-old children here is just an incredible happening, and I feel very proud about it.
We hope you enjoyed this chance to learn more about the Tannery Art Center, where it's been and where it's going. And we hope you'll make an effort to come visit soon and often, a property that has had such a role in Santa Cruz history, and perhaps an even bigger one in its future. I'm Romney Dunbar. So long from the Tannery.